So we're live. Let's try it. Let's try this. We got the confetti. Excellent. Welcome everybody to our first collaborative ebook launch that's going to be available for you to download this Friday for free. And I'm joined by two of our amazing authors from this book, Madhurimi Sapati and Jane Njogu. But before I hand you over to them, for them to explain a little bit about what's in the book, let us know if you're tuned in. Please say hi. If any of our other authors are tuned in the comments box, let us know a bit about your chapter and what you've contributed to the book. But we're so excited to be launching this Redefine Your Success. And if this is the first that you've heard of this, we had our second annual Global Summit back in September 2022, where we had over 19 sessions of wisdom and insights on how we can redefine our success. Half of these people, or a handful of these speakers, decided to pull together this amazing book and put their sessions into writing so you can take it away, learn and read from our global summit this year. You also will be able to have access to the podcast, and we're going to convert it into a course within the Coaching Minds Hub, so you can go back if you missed it. You can watch all the different sessions, you can connect with our authors, and you can learn a little bit more. So inside the book, we have 16 authors that you can see on the screen. It's absolutely wonderful. We've got people from around the world. We've got Madhurima today from India. Jane is over in Dubai. I'm here in the UK. We've got Brent Lees, you can see on the screen, from the US. Vijaya in India. Charmaine in Japan. Christine in the US. Adrian in South Africa. We've got Joe Jackson, who is in Australia. It is a global book with people from all over the world sharing different experiences. And I'm going to take the slides off and I'm going to bring you guys into the session. So give me a second and I'm going to hand it over. Madhurima, please introduce yourself. Tell people a little bit about what they're going to expect from your chapter, and let's learn.
Ooh, let's go. Thank you so much, Paul, first of all, for this opportunity along with Coaching Minds. I'm so glad to be here. A little bit about me. I am a freedom soul coach and I help multi passionate, ambitious people basically help them manage their stress and burnout so that they can go out there and work on their dreams without their own selves holding them back. Now, as I have been on this journey, I feel like as a coach, I have evolved a lot. I have taken a lot of different paths, and sometimes those paths diverting, pivoting was not as easy as, you know, saying it like, oh, you know what? Let me just jump ship. Let me try something else. Let me try something else. And a huge part of that came from the freedom um, of actually going out there and following what my heart was calling out for, my soul was calling out for. And it ties back into the chapter that I wrote for Redefine Your Success, because at the end of the day, if you just think about, oh, let me jump ship or let me pivot for the sake of it, or because my heart is calling out for it, it can be very scary. But when you learn to listen to your soul's voice, to what your heart is calling out for, to what you as a human being, you as a soul, you as a part of the universe, God, source, Allah, Krishna, whoever you want to believe in, if you allow that soul to guide you, it becomes very simple. And I think that is what the chapter is all about, is that a lot of times we try to complicate life. We try to take the steps that are present in front of us and go about it a roundabout way, right? Like we have this thing in India where my mom has always told me, you could either touch your nose like this or you could go about like this and touch it, and you reach the destination either ways. It's not about the destination, but it's about, well, are you choosing the simpler path, or are you choosing the difficult path because it seems like people will value you, people will take you seriously? And a lot of times, once again, it comes down to, are you leaning in and listening to your soul's whisper, or are you doing what you need to do? And so the chapter is all about that. The chapter is all about finding yourself again, because this is something that I started to work on during the pandemic. When the pandemic came, I was lost. I had anxiety. I had quit a job because of being burnt out, and I had to quit my job again because of the pandemic. So I had lost two jobs within the span of 6 months. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what my purpose was. I had health anxiety. You can still see me going like those effects still exist, right? And I feel like literally it exists for everyone out there. But yeah, I had all of these things. I was feeling extremely lost about my life and what path I wanted to take, what journey I wanted to take. And eventually, I think after a time, I allowed myself to settle, I allowed myself to ground. And then I closed my eyes and actually thought about, where do I want to be? What do I want to do? And the chapter is basically a sneak peek. It tells you about some of the epiphanies I had when I was allowing spirituality to guide me, when I had meditation sessions where I allowed the universe to guide me. And this chapter is a sneak peek of all of that. This chapter is what I have been growing, I have been accumulating all this knowledge for all my life. This chapter was the peak that shifted that knowledge into action. I think this chapter is a sneak peek of that, of my life, and I hope that it supports you on your journey.
Thank you for that, Matarima. That sounds really beautiful. I've read the chapter. It's really fantastic. I do have a couple of questions, but I'm going to go over to Jane. Jane, I don't know about you, but I'm guilty as well, trying to reach my nose like this and not just go like this as Matarima. We do tend to take the difficult way. So over to you, Coach. Coach Jane, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Madhurima is always giving us challenges. Anytime you meet her, she comes up with something new, something new. Well, hey everybody, my name is Jane Jogu. Originally, I'm from Kenya, but I'm based in UAE at the moment in Dubai. I am a mindset coach because I believe everything starts with the mind. Whatever you want to do, our mind has to be in that line. And part of the chapter that I wrote, Thinking Beyond the Box, is all about our mindset. And this statement, I first came about it in, I think, early last year actually, when somebody said it to me, and then she was like, "You know what, Jane? Thinking outside the box is important. Everybody thinks outside the box, but what do we do after we think outside the box? What happens after that? What separates you and those people you want to be like?" And then there's the word that came up, action, and that has been my everyday thing. Jane, you're outside the box, yes, very good, congratulations, but what do you do with that knowledge that you have right now? And that has always pushed me to go beyond the ideas that I have, beyond those small things that I feel like, okay, let me write it down. I just take action and I tell myself, okay, if it happens, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, at least I took the action. Because if we don't take that action, we are still sitting on our comfort zone. What's the point of coming up with a great idea of coming with a vaccine for something and not going to the lab and testing it out? Who are you helping by doing that? So by us taking action, by us moving further from that thinking beyond the box, we are making the world a better place. And I feel like the book is coming at a good time. You're starting 2023. And these are things that within the chapter you come to learn about mindset, how our mindset helps us with thinking beyond the box. What does success even mean? Because sometimes you say words, but we don't sit down and ask ourselves, what exactly are we talking about? What is success? I want to be successful. Successful in what? Is it your health? Is it your finances? What do you want? Because the more we become more focused on what we want, our path becomes clearer, and you're able to move from 2023 January to 2023 December. And the next year, January, you're going to be like, yay, I was outside the box, I did it, I took actions, and I'm a better version of myself. So, in a nutshell, that my chapter, it's all about encouraging us to step outside our comfort zone, take action, no matter what, believe in yourself. And I am a living testimony. You'll be proud of yourself.
No, thank you so much for that, Jane. And it is an amazing chapter that you have. And just to really simplify, what I really loved, the key thing I really took away from you when I look at the simplicity is not just about thinking beyond the box, but how you turn that into moving beyond the box. And often we can get stuck just thinking about it, that we don't take that keyword that you shared, action. And I really loved how you explained that and how you gave the advice behind that. So it's really wonderful. So keep an eye out for Jane's chapter and Matarima's chapter, two brilliant chapters. Lots of people tuned in, so I just want to say hi to a few people. I want to say hi to Adele, hi to a Facebook user. I'm not too sure who you are, but please drop a comment and let us know who you are if you're tuned in from Facebook. Brenda Lees, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here. Maharenda, it's good to see you. Thank you so much, Priya, for tuning in as well. So we've got lots of people tuning in, which is fantastic. And we've got Adele that's saying, I'm looking forward to this book with so many global authors. It's fantastic how far we've stretched across the globe. It's going to be really, really great. So I cannot wait for you to give you guys a copy. Remember, this is a free download. It's going to be available in our hub. You can access it there, or you can reach out to our authors as well, and they can provide you with a copy once they have theirs. So Priya is saying congrats on the launch. Adele is saying my chapter is about my journey from a child to now, the different successes and growth. And thank you for giving your chapter, Adele. It's really wonderful that you've become part of the book. We do have at the end of the book, it's success stories. So stories of where people were to where they are now. So there's a handful of them. And then the core chapters are all about different areas and how you can redefine yourself, redefine your success. So as Madhurima mentioned, she's all about helping you find that inner voice, that follow your soul. Which the question I want to ask you, Madhurima, is what advice or what one tip would you give for everybody today for those who want to listen to their soul, but maybe are so far distracted by all the outside noise? What tip would you give them?
Oh, I love that question. Thank you so much for asking, Paul. I think I would like to suggest a few steps as you go about this journey. The number one step would be to actually allow yourself to be alone with yourself. And I know this sounds very scary for people out there because it can be very scary, right? This is what people are afraid of. When they start meditating, they hear a lot of mental chatter, and our first instinct is to ignore it or push it away, when in reality the more you listen to it, it's just like a child that has been told to shut up for the entirety of the class, and as soon as the teacher walks out, the child is going to start talking, right? You're removing the blocks and you're allowing the soul to talk. And so be in a space where you can do it while you're enjoying yourself. This could look like a dance, right? Oftentimes, I put on some really soulful Sufi music and I just dance. And I might look literally crazy to all the people out there, but I dance because I connect with myself in that moment, right? And when I am in that moment, I'm like, hey, whew, here we are. We are grounded, we are centered. What do you have to say to me? When we allow or when we step into that magic without any fight, right? Without putting up any barriers, because we are used to ignoring, because we have been told to ignore our inner voice. We have been told that, hey, no, stop that. Don't be like this. What will society say? What will people think? You're supposed to behave like this. This is how everyone behaves, so you need to behave. And so our uniqueness, our soul has genuinely been bet down, been told to fit into a mold that society has presented us with. So, at least if you're starting today, be in a space where you can genuinely get back in touch with yourself. And it doesn't need to be dance, it can be painting, it can be singing, it can be anything where you feel connected with yourself. And then start the conversation from a safe space and allow your soul to speak, because your soul will speak. Your soul will be the child who has to tell you about everything that it has missed out on telling you about, right? Allow it to talk. Don't ignore it, don't rush it to speak faster, get things done quickly. Be in that moment and listen, and eventually the soul will quieten and it will start having a conversation with you. So far you have had a one-sided conversation, you're allowing the soul to speak. The soul has a one-sided conversation. Eventually you reach common ground and you start to speak one to one. And in that moment, just allow, just listen. If you want to have, if you want to argue, because we do, right? We have to be like, oh my god, how is this the easiest way? Like, what have I been doing all my life? Like, no, if even if you want to argue, do it in a safe space. Let it be a space where you get to learn from each other, even from the questions that you raise and the answer that the soul gives, or the questions that the soul asks and the answers that you give. Let it be a common space. Let it be a space where you get to learn from each other. Yeah, I think that would be my tip. I went off. I'm sorry.
No, you give a lot of tips inside that one tip, which was fantastic. And I'm sure a lot of people who are tuned in, who are watching on the replay, can resonate. And I just want to put this out there. So if anybody's tuned in and you have any questions about Madhurima's chapter or Jane's chapter, please drop them in the comments box and we'll feed them in. So thank you so much for answering that question, Madhurima. And Jane, just one question from you. Is there any tips you'd like to share with everybody today on how they can move beyond that box? Maybe one or two that you've got in your chapter.
One will be, I had mentioned before, action, taking action. Because without action, you remain stuck. It's like getting a flat tire. What do you do? Do you stand there and wait for a miracle to happen, or you either call someone or fix the tire yourself? So it's all about taking action, and the choices we make between that point and where you want to go matter also. So before you rush to take that action, take a moment, sit down, and evaluate what you have at hand. Look at the options you have. Okay, if I decide to fix the car myself, if I decide to fix the tire myself, I'll be late for that meeting. Well, it's worth off. I pay somebody to do for me this as I take a taxi and rush to that meeting. So evaluate the choices that you have. And at the end of the day, yes, you might have incurred a cost, but you have saved your job, you have saved that big project, instead of just sitting there and say, you know what, it's fate telling me that this was never meant to happen. Sometimes we put a lot on the shoulders of fate, while we have to take that actions on ourselves. So take action to, especially in 2023, have these meetings with yourself. Ask yourself, what did I do better today? What can I improve on? When we keep on asking ourselves these meaningful conversations or these meaningful questions, we tend to move from stage A to stage B. And each day we should strive to become a better person. You don't owe it anybody's approval. Like Madhurima have said, most of the time you're just thinking like, what will people say? What will people do? No, this is you. What do I want? What do I want out of 2023? What do I want out of tomorrow, the day after tomorrow? So by doing that way, the only approval I need is Jane's approval, and I'm happy with that. So no matter what the society says, I still go back to me. Am I happy with that choice that I made? Yes, I am. Fine. Then you move on with life. That will be my tip.
Talking to the microphone there. No, thank you so much for that, Jane. I really appreciate that. And honestly, if anybody's got any questions on anything that Jane's just shared, I love the analogy of the tire and the car and getting to that meeting. I really resonate with that. So thank you so much, Jane. If anybody's got any questions about either of these chapters, drop it in. Madhurima, do you have a question for Jane?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say, Jane, that that was such a beautiful analogy because personally, a lot of times I've found myself blaming fate, right? Like, I'm like, this is the universe telling me that I shouldn't be doing this. When in reality, it is just a problem. And once again, I was trying to complicate the situation where the simple answer was right in front of me. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think I needed to hear that. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. And if you guys have got any questions for each other, feel free to ask each other questions. This is a space for you guys to share. So if you're tuned in, let us know if you're watching the replay. Drop your questions in the comments box, and Madhurima or Jane will get back to you. And you can connect with them in the platform. So as I mentioned, I'm going to put it back on the screen if you're just tuning in now. This book is going to be available for download this Friday in our hub. I'm going to put it in the comments box here so you can access if you're not in our hub already. All you need to be is in the hub. You will get notification on the day when it's there. It'll be easily accessible and easily find. You can easily find it in there. So it's https hub.coachingminds.co.uk. So if you're in there, you'll also get access to our course. So we're going to put all the 19 sessions that we had in our Global Summit 2022 into a bit of a course. So you can work through those sessions. Don't worry, you won't have to go through session after session to unlock. You can view them all there, access them all there. You can access the podcast directly from the summit and also download this book to read, grab a cup of tea, and enjoy not just Madhurima's and Coach Jane's chapters, but chapters from 16 global authors. So I'm just going to put them on the screen again. As I mentioned, we've got Jane today in Dubai. We've got Madhurima in India. Adele, who's tuned in, she is in South Africa, with Adrian, who's in South Africa as well. We've got Joe Jackson, who's over in Australia. We've got Vijaya also in India. We've got people from around the world. Brenda Lees is tuned in right now as well. She is from the US, originally from Puerto Rico, but living in the US at the moment. So we have a global set of authors there for you to check out, and 16 chapters for you to dive into and learn how to redefine your success. So there's not many questions coming through. There's Coach Joyce Law is tuned in here and saying hello. It's wonderful to see you. So Coach Joyce Law is based in Dubai as well. You can see her on the list of authors. Thank you so much for being here. So there's no questions coming through. Is there any final words either of you would like to leave with the audience before we bring it to a close?
Yeah, I can go first.
Go
Yeah,
first, and go first.
So what I would like to say is I had the privilege of attending all the workshops and seminars we had during that time, and I was really inspired from day one when we had I think it was who let me count, from day one when we had the event to the last day. There are so many takeaways. Some I'm already using them or applying them in my everyday life. I have met great people there. There are great coaches there. So it is a book that I will recommend to anybody, because myself I plan to again go back and read it, because really it was a lot of wisdom inside there. A lot of wisdom. So that will be it for me.
Yeah, from my end, it would be a similar thing, that I learned a lot, and I'm someone who loves to learn via reading, right? Like that is the way I absorb content a lot of times. And so I love that all this knowledge is so accessible using this book, and it's filled with knowledge that has been gathered by so many amazing human beings who are on this journey, who are walking the path, who are, walking the talk, basically. And they have shared their knowledge, and genuinely can't wait. If you are out there reading this, take it one step at a time, one chapter at a time, but take one thing away from it and start working on it, because even a single thing is going to change your life for sure.
no, I love that. Thank you both for recommending the book. And just to add on that, Marima, that's so important. There's a lot in there. There's a lot of information. As you mentioned, Jane, we had 19 wonderful sessions. We've got 6 of them here. So much, even just in one, you could break it down. And one thing I really like to tell people is it's not just about reading it, it's about taking it away and look at how you can put it into practice. So even if you just go through it chapter by chapter throughout the year, take your time with it, because there is a lot of wisdom from so many people with so many different perspectives from around the world. And if reading isn't the way you like to learn, Madhurima, I'm with you. Reading is the way I would rather read and sit there and spend the time, and that's how I focus and how I learn quick. But if you don't, the podcast is going to be there. The lesson replays are going to be there, all structured for you. You can connect with all the authors. They're going to be in that space. You can reach out to them, connect with them, learn a bit more. If there's something that you don't quite understand, or there's something you want them to elaborate on, you can drop them a message in our hub. And as I mentioned, you just have to have access to the hub, and on Friday you'll be notified when it's all live, and you'll be able to access it all within its own space. So a huge thank you to Madhurima and Jane for being here today and sharing a little bit about their chapters. It's been wonderful to connect with you guys as always. And a huge thank you to everybody who's tuned in, and to all of our 16 global authors who have come together to make this happen. I look forward to you all, your feedback, what you learn, what you grow from this book throughout the rest of 2023. Thank you, everybody, and we'll speak soon. Thank you, guys. Thank you.